Okay, now let's talk about how to add a note card. So this one is new to NoodleTools and a bit tricky if you're not familiar with it, but you can see that I made this project, I added my source, and now I've read this article, I've learned what I want from it, and I want to add this, what I figured out, and my new understandings to NoodleTools to show that I can put the information here into my own ideas. So I'm going to hit this source. So I'm going to the Ancient Rome project, going to sources. Okay. I should have that source. I just added the New Zealand life of the people in ancient Rome, and I have 0 note cards. So I'm going to add a new note card. Okay. And I'm going to title this note card social structure because that is the civilization pillar that I'm exploring here. So I've added a note card title here. It's already put the source for me. And now I actually did not see anything in this article that I needed to directly quote. Nothing was really valuable here. I did learn a lot, but not so much so that I needed to directly quote from this article. So I actually took my notes here, like we had talked in previous lessons. So I put all the information that was relevant. These are the jot notes. I read this whole article, and as I found something important that I wanted to include, I added it here. So you can see I added that they had a wealthy class with large homes, servants, slaves. Average citizens had quality of life, but the majority lived in poverty. The oldest male had all the power, even over the lives of his family members, so wives and children. Women did not have a lot of rights, but changes were happening later on. The article mentioned that later on women could own land. And it was interesting that it mentioned that the diet was different. So there were different foods that the wealthy versus the poor, poverty stricken ate. So I put that in here that the diet was different for various classes. I didn't think it was important enough to list like they did jellyfish, peacock, ostrich, and I didn't think that was really that important. More understanding that the food they ate differed based on their status in society. I thought it was interesting when they talked about togas. And it even said a lot of us think of when we think of ancient Rome, we think of togas, but not that many people wore them because you had to be a citizen and they were a sign of your social class. So I put that in there and it said that, different colors like purple on a toga signified power. And it even said the emperor wore um, a completely purple toga. And then I added clothing could signify marital status for women. It mentioned that in the article. So I was just sort of kind of putting in here that um, there were different class systems. Their daily life differed based on which class system they were in. And there were different ways of identifying that. So here are my ideas. The social structure of ancient Rome has similarities with many civilizations today. There were various class levels, but the wealthy were the minority. Those with the most power were the smallest group. We see that in a lot of societies today, and that was something I thought about. Men had more power than women. This is still evident in a lot of cultures today. And the diet, clothing, and activities varied depending on your status in the society. So, those were my ideas that I took. Obviously, none of these words are identical to the wording from the article. So, I want to share this on NoodleTools to show that I can paraphrase. So, that would be my jot notes, right? These are incomplete sentences, and that's okay because I'm just taking some important notes here. But under this note card that I've made, I am going to copy and paste my jot notes. And sometimes, I don't know, it does this weird, I don't know why it does that sometimes, but oh well, it puts the information in there. All right, so I have all my bullet jot notes, and then I want my original thinking. So I'm coming back here. This is where I typed it, and I'm going to add that information to my ideas in Noodle Tools. Okay, and I'm going to save and close that note card. Okay, so now I have one note card. All right, so let's pretend I have another note card for this same article. I want to input that information about their diet under food. Okay, maybe I decide, you know what, this is also answering some of my questions about food source. So I'm going to make one that says stable food supply. All right. And let's just pretend I'm going to just put my same wording there. So let's pretend that's the bullet points that I summarized. And then there's my wording. And I'm going to save that one. And now you're going to see I have two note cards. And then some of the nice things you can do is hit tabletop view, and you can see all of your note cards for all of your sources. Oops, I spelled food wrong there. Little typo. So I can rearrange these. Those are from the same article, or I can put the note cards with all the information I learned under one column, and I can rearrange these. But if I hit detailed view, this is what's nice. I can put these in a different piles, but I can click on them and see, oh, look, there's I didn't add any ideas. Apparently there it didn't stay. Um, but there's my notes for this one. So you can see all of my note cards. Let's go back and see if we can figure out what happened under that first note card. Let's edit this one. Let's see. We can add the piles is where you can put them together. So let's click on this. Maybe let's click on it through our source. And we'll see our note cards and make the edit to it. But this is all it is. So you need to have at least 7 note cards because you have 7 sources. Here we go. This one seems to be missing my ideas for some reason. There it is. Hit edit. And I don't know if it just didn't stay there. So it has a little check mark. And let's save and close and make sure. There it is. So now my ideas are in there. Okay, so once you're going through all of your sources and you can see that this source has 2 note cards, okay? And then you can organize them, but you should have 7 note cards because you're gonna have at least one per ancient civilization pillar. So one for food supply, one for social structure, one for government, one for technology, and through all 7 of them, okay? So go ahead and check again, 4 sources at least, and then a total of 7 note cards. Again, one source obviously can be multiple note cards, and you're just going to separate the information you found. So sorry that it takes so long to get to this part. But there, oh, of course, as soon as I click it, disappears. Okay, so if we look here, I see I now have one source, but I have 2 note cards. You could have 4 sources and only 7. That is totally fine. You can use the same source to get more note cards. And actually, that just shows that you've chosen really quality sources. All right, so make sure that you have 7 note cards.